Welcome back to Vanquish. First things first, we've got another codec call.
Keep moving.
Wait! Your path is obstructed ahead.
There another way around?
There should be a large service lift ahead on the left. Use that to head up.
So yeah, in this part we're going to be covering another 2 missions just to kind of finish off Act 1, and we'll be starting on Act 2 in the next part. But these 2 missions that we're covering, Seismic and Hostile, they're kind of like balancing off each other, because this first one, Seismic, is another clear the area kind of mission. And this is a bit of a conundrum I'm having when trying to explain Vanquish as gameplay, because I say that this is like another clear the area mission, and I can imagine to some people you hear that about a lot of the missions in the game and you might think that's kind of a bit underwhelming, like, you know, you're just shooting more guys and, you know, you just gotta duck, you gotta lean up and shoot some more and then rinse repeat. But the thing there is that I think a combination of both the raw gameplay, like, you know, the sliding around, the shooting, and just how satisfying that feels with like how well the game performs and that, and the general map areas, like a combination of those 2 things makes it constantly engaging, even though a lot of these missions are basically doing the same thing. And like, yeah, that camera did sort of derp out of me a little bit there. It's not quite sure what it's doing with itself. That doesn't actually happen that often. Like, there's a few parts where it's like the camera gets a bit stuck, but for the sort of jittering, there's only a few spots where it's like the camera's not sure what to do with itself. Like, a problem you're much more likely to have is one that affects me quite a bit later on, where you duck and you've got your teammates who are in the same general area as you. Because what happens there is that one of them will decide to stand up just as you do, and you'll find the camera, like 90% of what you see on the screen is just this other dude's leg. So it's kind of a fucking nightmare to try and aim to the guy you're trying to shoot, just because your teammate there, in all his good intentions, he's trying to help out, he's trying to pull his weight for the team and shoot a few of the other guys, but no, it turns out that you can't aim properly because you've just got this dude's trouser leg just blocking your sight, which is really useful. But yeah, in terms of trying to convey this game, this is one thing that I do worry about a little bit when I'm showing off games like this that are like really high action, you know, just lots of stuff going on the screen at once. I am trying to tell you how satisfying this is to play, because it's the sort of thing I worry a little bit that the video capture doesn't really show high action games to the best of what they can do. And by that I mean the visual fidelity. Because this game is beautiful. This game looks absolutely gorgeous in-game. And one thing that you might not necessarily realise if you don't make videos, but you notice a hell of a lot if you do and you're working footage all the time, is any game that has really high action, where there's a lot of different colours on screen, or not necessarily colours, but a lot of moving things, is that gets eaten away at by video compression. And this is really bad on YouTube. Like, it wasn't that bad a couple of years ago or so, but I think over the last year, or maybe a year and a bit, they seem to have changed their codecs, or at least they've changed their approach to compression. And that's why when you see games where there's a lot of movement, particularly like high frame rate games, or just games where there might be motion blur or just all these fancy effects and that, what tends to happen is it tends to artifact the screen up a lot. So, you know, when you're watching a video like this and you get like these blocky sections showing up, what that is video playback. The way that works is that the video is made up of loads of frames, and each frame is an image. And compression sort of cuts down the amount of change between it. So like, compression is the video cutting corners with loading up the next frame. So if there's a colour that's sort of similar on one frame as the last frame, then it'll just think, you know what, that'll do. And that's why you get that sort of blocky effect, which for things like, say, vlogs, where it's just like a dude in his house and he's filming himself, or maybe like, you know, them walkabout videos where a guy's just walking around his local area and asking people things or whatever, that's not that big of a deal because like the colour doesn't change that much. But when we've got a character just boosting around, shooting things, ducking, rolling around, every frame is massively unique compared to the one before it, but video compression still tries to cut corners, and that's why you get these really ugly blocky effects going on. And it's the bane of my existence when I'm trying to show off a really, you know, exciting high motion game like Vanquish, because Vanquish is a game that I would say, go play Vanquish. Please go play Vanquish. It's a lot of fun. Even if you're like me and you don't play shooters that often, Vanquish is a lot of fun and it's really satisfying to play. But I do worry that when I'm recording a game like this, I'm trying to show off the gameplay to the best of my ability. But there are still caps when you're on streaming platforms. But yeah, that was my bullshitting over the more repetitive part, but now we're getting into a bit more story. We're getting some actual story progression here.
Professor.
No doubt about it. Sam, you have to help him.
I know, but I'm kind of busy right now.
So yeah, the professor's reappeared, and I think given the cutscenes at the start, they're a little bit more vague than the stuff I usually play through. I'm just gonna, until we get onto the main boss, I'm gonna just sort of abridge what's happened so far, sum it up a little bit I should say. And that is essentially the Russian dude we saw earlier on in the game. He is the big bad, as I think I mentioned at the time. He is the leader of a sort of threatening antagonistic group, essentially a terrorist group, called the Order of the Russian Star. And what we saw in the earlier cutscene is him essentially pushing the US president for an unconditional surrender. So yeah, that is terrorism, really. We're here to stop a Russian terrorist. And speak of the devil. I love how, even though that's obviously an incredibly high-tech suit, like Burns just jumps straight to the let's shoot the bastard mentality without even analysing the situation. But yes, this is Viktor Zaitsev, the leader of the Order of the Russian Star. That was a fucking mouthful if I ever said one. And it seems like everyone in this game just gets a really cool power-up suit, because Sam's got his one from DARPA. Zaitsev's got his fucking jets flying around. I will admit that is really cool. Maybe the red is a bit loud for what he's trying to do, but I don't know. Here we go. This is the major final boss of this act. It's against Zaitsev, and yeah, his suit is just referred to as a bogey here. But the way you fight him, it is similar to the other combat, but here he's got this extra dimension going on in that he is flying around. If you've ever played Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and you got the jetpacks, this is what this dude's trying to do. I suppose I could also give a shout out to Halo Reach there. Halo Reach did jetpacks before Advanced Warfare ever did, but Advanced Warfare was the game that got a positive reception. I remember a lot of people didn't really like Reach that much for various reasons. But I need to be careful because I just got shot in the fucking face, and that's not a good thing. Don't know if you know, you're getting shot at by a bad dude, you don't really want that to happen. I think as bad guys go, this is an okay sort of end of act boss. It's, like I say, it is more of the same. Like, he's actually a lot easier to fight off than the earlier boss, like the Argus battle and that. Like, not that the Argus battle was hard, it's just it was much more time consuming because there were the different phases. Whereas this, it seems like you just keep on shooting at him until eventually the cutscene prompt comes up. And as for the rocket shots I'm taking at him now, this is one thing that has since been patched up again. I recorded this act immediately after the first damage bug patch came out, and it was a few days after I recorded this that they had a follow-up patch. And what that does was it fixes the lock-on times, because you notice my lock-on time with the rocket launcher just then was really quick. Like, it just got to him straight away. That was still doing the tying it to frame rate thing, so really it should have been less than 4 times as fast as that. But it wasn't. I got a bit of a boost. But from Act 2 onwards, I'll be playing with the fully patched up fixed version of the game.
No!
But ladies and gentlemen, join me next time where I'll be taking on Act 2 of Vanquish. Bye bye for now.